All right, so today we're going to talk about how to use a TPCASTT poetry analysis form to write better poetry analysis and to discover deeper meaning in poetry. So first, there should be two things attached to Google Classroom. That is a handout with a TPCASTT analysis form and a poem. So today we're going to be using The Night is Darkening Round Me by Emily Bronte for an example. The first thing I want you to do when you do a TPCASTT analysis is, before anything else other than writing your name on the paper, I want you to look at the title. Before you read the poem, I want you to think about the title. So there we go. The night is darkening round me. Sometimes we're going to use the sheet that I put up on Classroom, that I attached to Classroom, which should look something like this. And sometimes we'll just go one at a time, starting with title. And you'll write your responses right here in each corresponding box. Title, paraphrase, connotation, attitude, etc. Today, this first time, I want you to do something a little bit different. So this time, I want you to take your sheet and I want you to divide it into sections. Your poem itself should be divided into sections. So the first section should look something like this. That first T again is for title. That's terrible. That first T, title, and I want you to draw a line right underneath your title and the name of the poet right there. Now in this first box right here, that's where I want you to respond, and I want you to write about the title. Think about the title, ponder the title before even reading the poem. Think about what connotations the name has. The night is darkening round me. And I want you to write something there. Here, somewhere up in this box, I want you to write me a description, an explanation, something about what you think the poem is going to be about. If you're confused by this, go over here and check out that document that I mentioned, and it'll give you a little bit of basically what I just told you. Take a look at the title before you even read the poem. What could it mean? And look for connotation, etc., etc. All right, so that's step one. You make this box around your title, and you write a little bit about the title before you read the poem. Next step, I want you to number the stanzas, and I want you to find a rhyme scheme. Now this should be review. This should be a terminology you're familiar with. For this poem, it's pretty obvious. 3 very clear, very obvious 4-line stanzas. If you don't know, a stanza is like a paragraph in the poetry world. So I want you to always number your stanzas. So here we got stanza number 1, stanza number 2, stanza number 3. Simple enough. 3 stanzas. But the other thing I'm asking for here is rhyme scheme. What is the rhyme scheme? First line always starts with A. Second line, if it rhymes, it's going to be another A. Does it rhyme? No, it does not, so it is a B. Third line, does it rhyme with any of the prior lines? Yes, it does. Me definitely rhymes with me, so there you go. Fourth line, does it rhyme with anything before us? Does it rhyme with an A line? Does it rhyme with a B line? It rhymes with a B line. So this rhyme structure right here is A, B, A, B, at least for the first stanza. And as you can see, the other stanzas follow a similar pattern. Bending and descending, snow and go, me and me, below and go. So again, A, B is going to be your rhyme scheme for this poem, The Night is Darkening Around Me. So, the third thing I want you to do in TPCASTT, we've already done the first T. Now let's go to the only P. Paraphrase. So what we're going to do here is pretty obvious. You're going to paraphrase. Translate the poem into your own words. Look for the literal meaning. Look for what the story is literally telling you. Look for what the poem is literally telling you, all right? So, I want you to make another box that goes around the poem itself. So we had that first box up there at the top for the title. Now make another box around the poem itself, and that's your P for paraphrase. And then somewhere in here, I want you to paraphrase what's going on. The night is darkening around me. Almost forgot my apostrophe. It's getting dark. Simple enough. So do that for the rest of the poem. Paraphrase literally what you're reading here in the poem. When you're done with that, the next thing is to start looking for connotation. Start looking for word choice. Start looking for deeper meaning of the words. This is where it starts to get interesting. This is where you really start learning something about the poet and the poem, etc., etc. So I want you to go back over here to your poem. And for the C, the A, the S, and the last two T's, you're going to want to create some little boxes. All right? So you have your T, your P. I want you to go down below. Got to save some room for the CASTT here. All right? So that's your connotation right here. All right, so in this part right here for connotation again, this is where you're looking at implied meaning, word choices, patterns in language, symbolism, syntax, your diddles, any of that stuff. You're looking for language with connotative meaning, okay? So in that box right there, in that row right there, I want you to write about any of the connotative meaning that you find. All right? Dot, dot, dot. After that comes the first A, which is attitude, but it's actually a lot about tone. If you go over here and you read this, it'll say the same thing. Attitude. What is the tone of the poem? If you have trouble determining tone, start by deciding whether the tone is positive or negative and then become more precise from there. If you start that way, it'll help you guide you in the right direction. Is it a positive tone to this poem? Is it a negative tone? From there, you can then think about your tone language. Think about that handout I put on Classroom last week, and you can identify some good tone words to put right here. So A in the TPCASTT acronym is for attitude, but a lot of what you're really looking for is tone. All right. So you're gonna have 3 little boxes left here. The S stands for shift. Shift is an interesting thing. Shift could mean almost anything here. You could be talking about a shift in the language, a shift in the tone, a shift in the mood, a shift even in the subject matter, a shift in the rhyme scheme. Almost every poem has some kind of shift, and it's significant. The shift is there for a reason. So in that little spot on your poem, make an S, and I want you to look and I want you to identify some kind of significant shift in the language, in the structure, etc., etc. The next T is not a mistake. It's title again. The first time you do title, when you're looking at title up here in the beginning, the point is you haven't read the poem yet, and you're thinking about what could the title mean? What is the connotative language of the title? Now, the second time around, when you get down here, after your shift, you come to title again, This time when you're looking at the title, you've read the poem, presumably. You've learned something about it. You've learned about the literal meaning. You've learned about some of the deeper meaning, some of the symbolism, some of the connotative language, all that stuff. So this time when you're thinking about the title, you should be looking at it on an interpretive level. So examine the title again. Give me some information right here this time. Now that you know what the poem's about, what new meaning does the title take on for you? And the last one here is theme. The third and final T in TPCASTT is theme. Determine what the poet is trying to say about a topic. Write a sentence, write a thematic statement, analyzing what you think the poet is trying to tell you about something. Think about worldly wisdom. Think about a statement about life. Think about what Emily Bronte, in this case, is trying to tell you through her poem, The Night is Darkening Round Me. So, you're going to take this poem, you're going to create the TPCASTT, the acronym here in the margins. Also, I should say, make sure you do this in order. There's a reason for this order. It's like this because, for example, you want to know the literal meaning. You want to paraphrase before you start looking deeper for symbolism and connotative language and meaning and that sort of thing. So the idea is you start with T before you've even read the thing. Then after you go number your stanzas, after you look for a rhyme scheme here, then you proceed in order. Now you're looking for connotative language. Now that you know the literal stuff and the connotative stuff, you can start making some decisions about what you can put here for tone, for attitude. Then after that, you should be able to find something for shift. Now again, because you're doing this in the correct order, this time your T should be a whole lot different than your T up here. This time you should know a whole lot more about the poem, and this time the title should take on a whole new meaning. And then finally, after all this, after this whole acronym, after all this analysis, you should definitely be able to land on some sort of theme. In this case, again, about The Night is Darkening Round Me by Emily Bronte. So, that's how you do a TPCASTT poetry analysis. Think about that and think about your essential question. How does TPCASTT help improve your ability to write poetry analysis? How does this process of analysis, how does this form of organization help prepare you to then turn around and write a response to literature paragraph or a poetry analysis essay? Thanks.